Welcome to Model Steam Engines for Beginners. This one is part 16, Horizontal Steam Engines, what the component parts are called and what they do. The reason I've made this video is to answer viewers' questions. Frequently I do get asked a lot of questions that are really simple, well to me anyway, I've been doing it for a long time. Quite a lot of people in the world will own a Mamod or Wilesco steam engine. Indeed, that's how I started off. But I've moved on to slightly larger steam engines. This one on screen at the moment is a Stuart Victoria, and I'm going to start by pointing out which bit does what. Some of the parts are very obvious. For instance, the flywheel is the large wheel at the right hand side. This is fixed to the crankshaft, and the purpose of the flywheel is to provide kinetic energy to move the piston over top dead centre. The problem is this is a horizontal steam engine with one double-acting piston in the cylinder, so there isn't such a thing as top dead centre or bottom dead centre. What I should really say is when the piston gets to the end of the stroke at each end of the cylinder, it's the momentum of the flywheel that carries the piston over this dead part of the stroke, just as the steam's admitted. Then exactly the same thing happens when the piston is at the other end of the cylinder. So that's what the flywheel does. The flywheel is connected via the crankshaft to a crank web, which has a crank pin on the end of it, which connects to the connecting rod, which in turn connects to the crosshead. That's the part in the centre. The layout of crossheads does vary. This is a Stuart Victoria steam engine, which uses 4 pieces of steel bar as crosshead guides, which support the crosshead itself, and the crosshead is the part where the connecting rod meets the piston rod. If you didn't have a crosshead, then the piston rod would be under a great deal of strain. Some engines smaller than this don't have crossheads anyway, but once you get past a certain size, it's fairly essential to have a support on the end of the connecting rod where it meets the piston rod. I made a video series for my Patreon supporters called How to Build a Model Steam Engine. And here's an excerpt from part 1. This series shows you how to make a Stuart Victoria like the one you've been looking at from the raw castings. In January 2022 I still haven't finished this series, but it's got to the stage where I've covered most of the important parts. The rest is just really bolting it together. Here's the edited extract from part 1. I have a bad habit. Well, I have many bad habits, but this particular one is losing gaskets. So in this clip, I'm putting all of them in a safe place, along with the graphited yarn too. Before starting any of the work, it's a great idea to consult the parts list and identify all the components. I'll try and do it from memory and common sense. This, of course, is the crankshaft. This lump of metal is for making the crossheads. And this is the connecting rod. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of machining to do on this part. And what about these 2 pieces? These are for the crosshead guides. It's not always obvious what all these pieces of steel are for. So initially it's a really good idea to constantly refer to the parts list so you know which part is for which job. And some parts have multiple uses. This piece of steel, for instance, this is to make the eccentric rod and the sides of the valve lever. This piece of steel is for making the valve lever arms, and this is going to be the main piston rod, and this is going to be the crank pin. All these parts are carefully worked out to be the correct length. This looks a bit long for the crank pin, but remember there has to be sufficient metal to hold it in the chuck to machine it. One of these pieces of bar is going to be the lever arm shaft, and the other one is going to be the valve rod. The final casting from the first pack is the drive pulley. This will machine up to be the drive pulley that sits on the end of the crankshaft. And last but not least, this small plastic pot of nuts and bolts are all that you will need to bolt your finished creation together, unless of course you drop them on the floor. Well, in my workshop anyway. Moving right along now to the next pack. This is a more interesting pack of castings. And the first one is obvious. It's the steam chest and the steam chest cover. No prizes for guessing what this is. This is the eccentric strap. There aren't many parts left to look at now. This is an important part. This will metamorphose, that's a good word, metamorphose. This part will be machined to make the stuffing glands for the engine. One for the piston rod and one for the valve rod. and absolutely no prizes are available whatsoever for knowing what this is. It's the crank web. This is a small piece of bronze bushing material, but just enough to make bushes for the big end and the small end. And this is a Viton piston ring. The last Victoria that I built used a cast iron piston ring, but that was a long time ago. But now it appears that a Viton piston ring is the order of the day. There are two pieces of metal here that are a very similar size and shape. The only difference is, one is slightly bigger than the other, I can see that, but the one at the bottom, or the nearest the camera, is a piece of cast iron, and the one nearest my hand is a piece of steel. The piece of cast iron will be machined to form the piston. Obviously it's bigger than the piston needs to be so you can hold it in the chuck. And the steel piece, which is just slightly larger than the cast iron piece, will be machined to make the eccentric sheave. I don't think I need to describe this casting. It's the flywheel. It needs a bit of fettling, but eventually it looked okay. Back now to the completed engine. I'm about to run this on steam, so I'm filling this thing. It's the displacement lubricator. Displacement lubricators are really clever. I made a video about how they work. You might want to watch it. Please note, displacement lubricators do not work when you run the engine using compressed air. It's the displacement of the oil by the condensed water from the steam that makes them operate. The two fittings on the side of the base on this engine are actually cylinder drain cocks or cylinder drain taps. It's unusual to see them in this position. Normally they fit at each end of the cylinder, and their purpose is to drain condensed steam, which of course is water, from the cylinder to prevent hydraulic lock, and here you see them in operation. The engine is in steam in this clip, and as you can see it's running very fast. The thing in the middle that looks like a merry-go-round is the governor. It's belt driven from the crankshaft, and as it spins, the weight of the balls on the end of the arms move a lever which is connected to a valve on the steam inlet at the top of the steam chest. And this is the way most full-size engines control their speed, otherwise they would just go faster and faster and damage would certainly occur. Here's a close-up at the flywheel end. You can see the small end of the connecting rod, and the silicone O-ring is there to stop it rattling, because on this particular engine there's a bit of side play on the crank pin. The crank pin is bolted to the crank web, which in turn is securely pinned to the crankshaft. Behind the crank web is one of the main bearings, and behind that is the eccentric. An eccentric is a kind of crank web, but unlike a crank web, it's not reversible. If you watch this clip closely, you should realise why. The eccentric is designed to drive the slide valve, or piston valve, or whatever the engine is fitted with, to admit and exhaust the steam from the cylinder at precisely the right time. This engine has an extra part. You can see it through the spokes of the flywheel. It's a water pump, and this is used to regulate the level of the water in the boiler. Quite a few viewers are under the misapprehension that a steam engine should always run slowly. This is not strictly true. When you look at a full-size mill engine, it's running at about this speed. And it's always fascinated me how fast the full-size actually go. Bearing in mind one or two that I've seen have had flywheels that weigh 32 tons. I think a lot of people confuse these things with the large beam engines that are used for pumping water. They run slowly, and they are gigantic. I'm going to show another type of steam engine with an entirely different type of crosshead. This is an engine that I did some work on recently. It's an old brass engine, very old in fact, and it uses a different type of crosshead support to the Stuart Victoria. These trunk guide type of crosshead supports are often seen very commonly on traction engines. In this engine, the trunk guide that supports the crosshead is part of the rear cylinder cover, which bolts to the engine. The other parts, like the big end, the crank pin, the crank web and the eccentric, not to mention the flywheel, are pretty much the same as on the Victoria. I rebuilt this old engine a while back, and this is called a Tangy style engine because the bed plate and the crosshead guide and the cylinder are all part of one casting. This gives a very rigid base that all of the parts are attached to, and I got this engine to run really well. The beats are very even. And if you want to see the process of me rebuilding this engine from a piece of scrap, please watch the series called Rebuilding a Tangy Steam Engine. It doesn't sound quite so good without the slow motion, but it really does run very well indeed. When I got this, there were lots of parts missing, and I do believe it was built from a Basset-Loke kit many years ago. Now it's been rebuilt by me, and it's part of my collection. These types of engine were very common, and many were manufactured. I frequently see them for sale on eBay, but not usually in this condition. I hope that some beginners who've watched this video are more clued up as to what does what. These, by the way, are simple engines, not compound engines. More about that in a future episode. To finish this video, I'm just going to leave this engine running for a short while on the bench. And as always, I'd like to say stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.